The challenge, I think, with putters is people are very particular about their putters, and they tend to have certain things. They like the look or a certain feel, and it can be hard to move them off of that.
It's probably the most difficult category to kind of come up with something that's going to best fit everybody.
The one thing that you see with Odyssey is we have just as many players choosing Odyssey that are a part of Team Callaway is not. So they're choosing it for performance.
There's a legacy dating back to the 90s of success on tour with Odyssey putters.
Odyssey's obviously been the #1 putter on tour for a long time. On the PJ Tour for the last 5 years, for the last 20 years, on the DP, the LPGA Tour, the Champions Tour. So we've had that tour validation.
I think we just have a long-standing history and tradition at Odyssey of giving players equipment and product that's going to be best for them.
The #1 thing that players need and are looking for is just speed control.
It's the first order to how far your ball goes, right? It's pretty intuitive that way. That speed's probably the most important, but in the past, there wasn't any technologies to try and control that speed.
We study analytics. We have strokes gain analytics on every tour player out there. When you get outside of 30 feet from the hole, we're talking 30, 35, 40, 50 feet from the hole. Speed is the most important thing in being able to avoid the 3-putt.
And we started to an exercise with all of our players on how many times they've 3-putted and what each one of those 3-putts have cost them. If all those 3-putts went away, what would it cost them? There's some players where it's cost them $500,000, some $1 million, and there's a couple players that if you took away all their 3-putts and made them 2-putts, it has cost them $8 million.
With our knowledge of AI, we started to think, how can we accommodate a putter face to be able to control the speed across that?
I think it was in November of 2019, which is after the release of Flash Face. What we saw in Flash Face was an ability to change design based upon the engineer's desire to model something differently. So if you create a feature somewhere on the club that's supposed to have some outcome, you can change that feature, essentially, let's say the thickness of the face, and you can say, I want to drive towards maximum ball speed. You don't want maximum ball speed on your putter. So you need to basically be able to also let the AI, let the algorithm be able to be like, what's the more appropriate objective? So we had a brainstorming meeting of essentially my team and the putters team sitting down and saying, what are the objective changes that we want in a putter? And then Eric Steuben had to go in and figure out how to model the face of a putter and change those thicknesses and parameters to develop an AI putter.
So we set up an optimization routine. So it was my job to bring that idea into a physical space. So I split up a face, making sure we are optimizing certain points of the face in order to take advantage of where the player impacts the ball. With that, we ran an optimization routine, and we were able to create ball speed across the face that was more consistent for the player. It create ultimately an insert that performed better.
There'd been a number of different iterations of this insert that we'd worked on over time, different shapes, kind of different VFTs, different goals of the insert. But when it finally got put into a product line, we put it into CAD in a number of different models. But it took a ton of work from our product engineers downstairs to make sure that it actually worked.
Once we had the metal-faced version pretty much done, we said, well, could we, make a white-hot version? Came to realize that we could apply white-hot urethane to the front of a back, in this case, an aluminum backing. So we would get the flexing that we wanted from the aluminum, but the feel and sound we wanted from white-hot.
We wanted to show the technology, so we entered the design concept of bringing in a back window and how we're going to show off our technology. One thing that we had to make sure was that we had a big enough window to see the technology of the AI insert, but we also needed to ensure that we had a wide enough flange for a bonding surface to make sure that that window would not delaminate at all from the back cavity during play or anything.
It's a lot of work, and the designers on our team went through a lot of effort to make sure these were updated.
The fact that we have the window on the white hot version is going to be an important part of helping to tell the story, because it's going to look unlike any putter we've ever made or anyone's ever made. This is the next evolution in putting technology. So if you're If you're not using a putter with an AI insert, then you're at a disadvantage to someone else who is.
Go from 5 feet, being maybe like 3 or 4 feet from the hole, you have a significantly better chance of making that second putt. So just reducing 3 putts, taking a couple strokes off your game here and there, it makes a huge difference.
Why would people not switch? They know that they mishit it. And so, as we're calling it, they're going to putt smarter.